All right, so you're here because you're into this whole longevity thing, right? Like
Mm.
you want to optimize your health span.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this compound, Urolithin A, that's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And we want to unpack it all. Like, what's the real deal with this stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been digging into some new research.
Looking at Urolithin A's potential, right?
Exactly. Could it really boost cellular health, like those tiny powerhouses, the mitochondria?
Yeah, mitochondrial function, even how long we live and how well. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, a lot to cover for sure. And I know our listeners are probably wondering right now, does urolithin A actually work?
Right.
So in this deep dive, we're going to cut through all the hype, give you the facts as we understand them based on what we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's just start with the basics. Where does urolithin A even come from?
So what's interesting is it's not something you eat directly, you know.
Oh,
It's actually made inside your gut. Yet your gut bacteria, they get to work when you eat foods that are high in these compounds called ellagitannins.
ellagitannins. Okay, so those are the precursors to urolithin A.
Right, you got it.
So what kind of foods are we talking about here? Like what should we be eating?
So pomegranates, those are like the superstars.
Okay.
They've got the highest concentration of those ellagitannins. Then you've got all kinds of berries,
Love berries.
raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, all that good stuff. And then you've got nuts like walnuts and pecans.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And even your daily cup of tea, like black tea or green tea, that's got some too.
Even tea. Wow.
Yeah, but smaller amounts though. And this is going to sound kind of weird, but you know how some wines and spirits are aged in oak barrels?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they actually pick up these trace amounts of ellagitannins from the wood.
Huh. Never knew that. So it sounds like a plant-rich diet is pretty key here.
Yeah, it seems to be a recurring theme.
What about like animal products? Any ellagitannins in those?
Not really, no.
Hmm.
So like meat, organ meats, they don't have significant amounts of those precursors that your gut bacteria need to make the urolithin A. It's really more of a plant-based pathway.
Okay, so got it. Plants are important, but even if we're eating all the right things, it sounds like not everyone's gut is going to be making the same amount of urolithin A.
You're absolutely right. It all comes down to the specific bacteria you have living in your gut. Some people just have a better setup for this conversion than others.
So that kind of explains why researchers are looking into urolithin A supplements, right?
Exactly, because if your gut isn't producing enough naturally, a supplement could be a more direct way to get it.
Makes sense. So what's the science saying about these supplements?
Well, there's some pretty compelling research out there. Like one study, it was in Nature Metabolism back in 2022,
Okay.
and it showed that older adults who took urolithin A supplements, they actually saw improvements in their mitochondrial function,
Wow.
and their muscle endurance got better too.
That's huge, especially as we age.
Yeah, and they think it's because urolithin A helps with mitophagy.
Mitophagy. Okay, break that down for us.
So it's basically the cell's way of cleaning up, getting rid of those damaged mitochondria.
Got it, like taking out the trash.
Exactly. And that's super important for keeping our cells healthy and functioning properly, and potentially for longevity.
So it's not just about energy and muscles, but also about keeping those cells young, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
What other benefits are researchers finding?
Well, there was this other research in aging cell, and it suggested that urolithin A might have some pretty powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties.
At a cellular level.
Yeah, right down to the cells. And that could be a game changer for cellular repair, helping cells bounce back from damage.
Fascinating. And what about those supplements? Do we know how well they're absorbed?
Yeah, studies have shown that urolithin A supplements, they lead to measurable levels in the bloodstream.
Okay, good to know.
And that's key because it means it's bypassing the whole gut conversion thing. So even those folks whose gut isn't making much urolithin A naturally, they can still benefit from this supplement.
So essentially, if we want to boost our urolithin A, eating the right foods is a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. But it really depends on our individual gut microbiome, right? So some of us might not be getting enough even with a great diet.
And that's where supplementation comes in.
Exactly. It's a more reliable way to get those levels up.
And the science seems to be backing it up, especially for mitochondrial health and muscle function as we get older.
Yeah, it's looking pretty promising. But of course, we always need more research, those long-term studies.
Of course, always got to be cautious. So, bottom line, urolithin A, it's no miracle cure, but
But there's some solid science behind it.
yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. So for our listeners out there who are really into this whole longevity thing, what's the takeaway?
If you're serious about living longer and healthier, urolithin A is definitely something to consider.
especially if you're not eating a ton of those ellagittannin-rich foods.
Right. Or if you think your gut might not be converting them efficiently.
Exactly. And that kind of brings up a really interesting point. We all have such unique gut environments.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we have this option of taking urolithin A directly. So it kind of makes you wonder, how can each of us personalize our approach to these compounds?
Yeah.
Like, how can we figure out the best strategy for our own bodies, to really maximize the potential benefits?
That's a great question.
Yeah, definitely something for everyone to think about.
Lots to explore.